Hi everyone, welcome to Pragati Vichar Literature Festival 2023 organized by Frontiers Media, and this year's theme is Taking Humanity Forward. Today we all are present here to celebrate the love for literature and discuss the pivotal subject matters which are prevailing in our society and somehow influence our society and the culture and establish engaging conversation with authors and the audience. So today we have very lovely guest with us, Mr. Sunayan Sharma. We are immensely glad to have you on board today, sir, for the PVLF. Thank you so much for joining us today. So today's session theme is wildlife. And under this session theme, the topic is Save Tiger, Save Wildlife. And Sunayan Sharma is an ideal personality to discuss this subject because his background is commendable when it comes to saving wildlife and environment. So the introduction. So Nayan Sharma, formerly a member of the Indian Forest Service, served as wildlife warden at Jodhpur, Rajasthan during 1986-88. He served Keoladio National Park, Bharatpur during 1988 1991 as a research officer and again during 2006 till 2008 as its director. During his second tenure, he developed an innovative scheme to remove the deadly Proposis julifera from the park. He also developed schemes to divert water from Chiksana Canal from Govardhan Drain to the park, which proved to be landmark schemes. During 1996, 1991, 1996, and 2008 till 2010, Mr. Sharma served as field director, Sariska Tiger Reserve. He oversaw the reintroduction of tigers in Sariska after they were decimated by the poachers. He also innovated and implemented several protection strategies for the safety of animals in a tiger reserve. Sunayan Sharma is now the president of Sariska's Tiger Foundation. And I'm hoping that I have well put your personality with this introduction.
Okay. Oh, thank you.
And you're very delightful to have me today.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Sir, because of his background, being a president of Sariska's Tiger Foundation, he has also recently penned down his book, Sariska the Tiger Reserve Roars Against, which is published by New Yogi Books. So, sir, what was your inspiration behind penning this book, and what message would the readers be able to draw from it?
Well, you see, as you have already introduced about Sariska and myself, I have a very long and old association with Sariska. In the book, if you find the first chapter is Sariska, my Valentine. So I have very old relationship with this Sariska. This is such a beautiful tiger reserve. Uh, from 91 to 96, I was lucky enough to enjoy its pristine beauty. I was field director there for such 5 years long period. Did a lot of experiments, had the opportunity of looking into the area, the area through its all the moods. You see in the jungles like Sariska, which have a lot of hills and valleys, plateaus. I mean, different kind of habitat in the park. So a lot of biodiversity is there in the form of the floral diversity, in the form of the faunal diversity, where tiger sits at the apex. So there's a lot of fun, a lot of adventure, a lot of excitement, and of course, a lot of knowledge about the science this park is based upon. So, well, I had that great opportunity of learning the park through and through. It's a huge park, almost around 1,000 square kilometers. So, and well, the location of the park is such, it's so easily accessible from Delhi, so easily accessible from Jaipur. So lots of tourists, I mean Indian and foreigners, a lot of scientists, they also keep coming here. So I had a very good opportunity of seeing the park through and through. Now in 2004, after I left the park, say left the park in 96 and had other assignments in the government. In 2004, Suddenly, a shocking news came to people, to public. The tigers had gone from Sariska. They rather got poached, and 100% tigers had vanished from Sariska that way. Even both the governments, I mean the state government as well as the central government, they also uh, finally accepted this fact that the tigers are gone. It was a real shocking news, not to me only, but for the entire world. I followed that very closely, how the debacle took place. And well, you see, governments held several inquiries, and not only the inquiries were conducted by states, but even by CBI, as per the orders of the Prime Minister of India. To that tune, it was done. And of course, some committees, very powerful committees, were made to suggest how to get the park to its original glory. And the suggestion was that the park should be given back the tigers through reintroduction from the wilderness. A plan was drawn very neatly by Wildlife Institute of India, the state government, the park authorities, all tripartite work was there. But then there were people, there were groups with their vested interest who didn't want Sariska to come up. And that I can deal if the time permits afterwards. So, well, uh, then, but the governments were really keen after, and there was a VP Singh committee, a very powerful committee by the state government, and VP Singh personally was very keen to get the tigers into Sariska. The chief wildlife warden then, Mr. Mehrotra, he too was very keen. So they called me back. That time I was in Bharatpur. I was busy in some very important operation, as you introduced earlier also. Uh, Prosopis juliflora eradication. That was a huge task. The World Heritage Mission was pressurizing the state government now and again that if this problem is not taken care of immediately, they will snatch the status of World Heritage Site. So it was such a, I mean, important project, and the water deficiency was also there, as you mentioned. So I was busy on that work, and I was fortunate to take care of both these things, and I got the appreciation from the World Heritage Mission also on this. Anyway, that time government called me back, and I was again posted to Sariska in 2008. So the tiger introduction that was being done for the first time in the world, it was something. Everybody, I mean, the scientists, the wildlifers, and who not, the journalists, several other authorities, they were all, and all the authorities uh, who were roped into this operation, they all were very keen to see how it goes on. Uh, Several people had doubts that, well, it will not succeed, and since it was absolutely, we had no knowledge of earlier experiences, our hands were bare. So hit and trial had to be, was our tool. And of course, if you wish, you can give me the credit as others have given. I had the vast experience of 5 years serving here as field director. I was conversant with every nook and corner of this place, and the people also who matter a lot. The vegetation, the terrain, which is very important because the tiger moves like water. And even if it is colored, and even if you are monitoring the tiger through satellites and whatnot, still it is almost an impossible thing unless you are very much familiar with the terrain. You cannot follow the tiger. So, and we had made teams to follow the tiger. Still, the tigers were lost at times for day, 2 day, 3 days even. And then again, recovering them back to the safety of the core. Then the tigers, they are learned to be having excellent memory. So they wanted to go back to their home. So what they decided themselves, the direction to their home, they will go through that only. Now they will naturally, the forest ends at a point, and say 10 kilometers, 15 kilometers, then there is end. And then there are villages, people and cattle. If some accident takes place, then people will, the opposition camp, they will have the opportunity of always disrupting. And they will say that they will make a hue and cry that the operation is fail operation. So we were all scared, but successfully we could do it. And you see, then there were more tigers. After I left in 2010, then too, since I mean, the procedure was properly laid out and things were put into place. The protection measures were also installed very nicely, like several vantage points were created, chowkis and nakas for protection sake. The strategy was made in such a fashion so that we could ensure that yes, uh, now they won't be poaching in the area at least. Habitat improvement works were done. The water is very important factor. That too was taken care of. So I left as a very satisfied officer in 2010. There were yet more tigers to come, and tigers came. Then their young ones also came up. Now Sariska is roaring with 25 tigers. So it just replied to those who were opposing reintroduction of tigers in this area. So, well, I had seen this Sariska in all its three phases. I mean, when it was a real Sariska, the original Sariska, before losing its tigers. Then second time when debacle took place, a lot of hue and cry and where not, everywhere. Everybody was puzzled. And we also booked several people. I also booked several people, sent them to jail and whatnot. It was such a ruckus. And then I was the primary person to get it back to its original owner. So, well, I had seen it in all the three phases. So I found this to be my bounden duty to bring the first-hand account to the fraternity who loves the tigers, who loves the wildlife, who loves nature. And well, of course, people were there when I was discussing with them. They were very keen to learn about what happened to Sariska, how this tragedy took place, and how could we really come out as a very successful person, as an officer, and how could we make this project successful. It was done. There was absolutely no knowledge of earlier experiences available to us. And now the gate is open. Panna, after Sariska, Panna taking full advantage of Sariska's experience, has also come up roaring with some 70 odd number of tigers. Patch also is very good. Now, the new tiger reserves are also coming in Rajasthan and in other areas of India. So, well, I thought, yes, I should come out with a book. And I have come out with a book. Here is the book, if you would like to see.
Thank you so much, Sunayan. So it was a lot to consume because you have explained in a detailed manner, and I would say that you have been doing a tremendous job. That you are saving our wildlife, and I feel like you are very fortunate that you got this opportunity to save our flora and fauna, and you are making a good environment for the human, to survive. So thank you.
Yes, I'm obliged. You gave a recognition to my work, and of course, I am very lucky to have been given this opportunity of being the central piece of these all activities.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. So my next question to you. So you have almost, shared a life journey or you are, discussed in this Saraska book, but still I would like to know when and how did you become a wildlife activist? This change that you want to save, tiger and, how did you become a wildlife activist?
Uh, if you are talking about the foundation I joined, or you are talking about my switch over from my original career of engineer, What you are
Yes,
doing?
yes, I would love to know how did you switch your career and you become, totally your inclination towards wildlife? Yeah.
Well, I will admit, uh, I was very, very keen about the nature. I am a nature lover. By birth, I am a nature lover. And you see, my basically, I am an engineer. I am a mechanical engineer, and
Okay.
I did long back in '69. Uh, well, that was a time when, fortunately, to my fortune, uh, the time was very bad for employment of the engineers. So I didn't get very good opportunity to be employed as an engineer, and that was something really I wanted. And that gave me the opportunity to look for other things, and I got the opportunity of competing for the forest service, and I got selected. And that is
Wow.
how my dream took the wings. I always wanted, and I could never ask the God to give me anything better than this. I'm very happy, very glad.
And I'm very glad that you followed your dreams and you are doing a very good job right now. Better than mechanical engineer, I would say. Yeah.
Well, I would have been a flop engineer, I know, though I passed with first class. But you
Wow.
see, I had to, so I did that, but that was not me. That was not for me. And I was always for nature. Fortunately, I got the right path. I'm very happy, and I'm very satisfied because I could do a lot to contribute to this. The As I mentioned to you, prior to coming to Sariska, I was at Bharatpur, remained there as research officer, and that experience worked a lot to me. That helped a lot to me rescuing the National Park Bharatpur. If you will, take reference from other areas. I have written a book on Bharatpur also. Uh, you will be glad to learn the park which was on deathbed. I got it really back to its own. The old glory. It's a World Heritage Site, is Ramsar Convention Site, and it is one of the 10 best bird parks as far as the water birds are concerned, world over. And when they called me in 2006 to revive this park, I thought perhaps I am going to be the last director because there was nothing left. It was all into ashes. But I could really pull it back thanks to my stars. And well, of course, when you are really keen about something, the
Right.
the nature helps you. Nature helped me, and I could really pull it out. And then I got the assignment for Seriska immediately, and that too was equally challenging, and I could do that too. So I'm very satisfied, man, and that's why after the this my superannuation in 2010, I joined the Sariska Tiger Foundation as its senior vice president, and after 6 months or so, because of the demise of the senior, I had to take over as president.
Okay. And I'm elated to start my morning with this session.
It's good. I tell everybody, you see, I keep convincing, motivating everybody. And again, my third book is also coming, and that has a lot of stories. The idea is to motivate people more and more and more to go towards nature. The today's life, as you have seen during the Corona period, how bad it is now. Things have gone that bad, and things are likely to go even worse. So, what will save us? The humanity. It is only the nature which is going to save us. We have to give us the equal respect and value. There are people who go into the forest area, they just ask tiger, 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 and just seeing tiger or not seeing tiger, they discuss only that and go back empty handed. I am always trying to tell people there is a lot in the nature. You go into the jungle, you should learn how to enjoy the nature.
Right.
You should learn how to enjoy the music of the nature, music of the nature.
I absolutely agree with you. So my next question to you that How has the government's decision to import tigers from Ranthambore panned out?
What? I couldn't understand.
How has the government's decision to import tigers from Ranthambore panned out?
Well, you see, uh, it was essential to bring the tigers back to Sariska to restock it. When the Sariska saw this fate of poaching, there were around 22 tigers or so, and that was a viable population. You have to have a viable population so that they can uh, uh, they can have their own populations to rule the area. And Seriska was that way, and unfortunately, it got finished. So everything was there except the tigers. So tigers were to be reintroduced, and there were intelligent people, knowledgeable people who understood this fact, and I too was consulted, and because I was not that time in the chair, but I too was considered being the ex-director, and I too opined that yes, Ranthambore will be the best place because almost same population is there. It is only the time span of something around 80 years or so that townships have been developed in between, and so the parks have been bifurcated. Otherwise, through other corridors, they are still connected. So Ranthambore could be the best solution to, and Ranthambore was overwhelming with the tiger population. So that way it was decided to get the tigers, wild tigers from Ranthambore.
Okay. So, which issues poses the most significant threat to wildlife in today's world?
Uh, if you will repeat it again.
Which issue poses the most significant threat to wildlife in today's world?
Well, you see, there are several threats. Like you see, uh, the thing is the population, the outburst of the population. So and the aspirations of the people, they are always at increase. Every single day they are at increase. So now there are encroachments in the form of mining, there are encroachments in the form of farming, there are encroachments in the form of hotels, houses, whatnot. Then the grazing. Grazing is something because you see, uh, all around these reserves, because they had the forage areas, so all around them and inside them were the cattle rearing communities. Now, if if you look at the pan India situation, you will find in most of the reserves this is the problem of the grazing. There are villages and the cattle camps which we call guadas locally. They are settled inside. Like in Sariska, there were 28 guadas and villages inside the core area. And then there are around 300 villages in the periphery of around 5 kilometers or so, from where the cattle come to the reserve area for grazing every day. So there is a confrontation. When there is a confrontation, because tiger will not differentiate between the wild animal and the domestic animal. So whatever is easily available, will go for. And even domestic animals killing is tougher for tiger than the domestic one, because the domestic has not developed so much of senses. The wild has developed so much senses. So wild is tougher than the kill of the domestic. It will take the domestic. Now the villagers, the owners of these cattle, they certainly they get aggrieved and they want to get rid of the tiger. So, and it is not only the tiger, the other wild animals, the herbivores, who during the dry period, especially for water, they go to the adjoining areas, and there they find the lush crops of the uh, villagers, and they feed on them. Naturally, they also cause a lot of harm to villagers. So there are factors. There are factors like fire. Fire. Once there is a fire, fire kills everything, and it's absolutely, even till date, there are no better ways of uh, fighting the fire. Do it manually. Every time you have to do it manually. There have been experiments when the helicopters have been used, even taken from army. But you see, they have very little effect. Very little effect. You have to fight them. It's very, very tough drill. Very tough drill. What when you are going to fight out the fire is at 3 kilometers from your place, and keep on climbing the hills. You consume the entire water which you were taking for firefighting. You consume yourself only, and reach the site barehanded. It's a difficult thing. So fire is another factor. Of course, poaching is always there. Like the Sariska tigers, they were all poached. But it was not done only by the poachers for smuggling. There were another factor also, as I mentioned to you earlier, the villagers. The villagers, they are enemies of the tiger that way. They may pose, they may say anything, no. But the fact is that why not? Because the tiger has been killing the animals who they are enemies to them. And in the name of the tiger, several restrictions are imposed upon their entry and other facilities like education, hospital, other civic facilities inside the reserve area. If there is no tiger, the villagers know. If there is no tiger, they will have free entry into the park and free to everything, whatever they feel like the facilities, the civic facilities, they will all be freely enjoying them. So that's why they are also there. In the Seriska case also, 50% of the tigers were poached by the smugglers, where the 50% were really poached or killed by the villagers with the help of these smugglers. So, well, that is also another important factor. And as I told you, habitat depletion. If there is habitat depletion for any reason, like the people, they need firewood, the people who need timber, the people who need grasses, the people who need the minor forest produce. So if the habitat depletion is there, then naturally the herbivores will have to rush to the neighboring areas and the carnivore will follow them. So all are in danger.
Okay. Thank you so much. So, do you think that education system currently prevalent in India equips the students with enough knowledge and practical experience to inspire them to pursue a career in wildlife conservation?
देखिए मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ ये बात. Can I use Hindi also?
Yeah, yeah, sure.
If the audience is happy with
It's
that.
bilingual, no issue.
So मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ ये बात कि अगर we think that we are going to give the entire responsibility to the forest department only, no, the goal will never be achieved. If you want conservation really in practical sense, you have to inculcate the feeling for conservation of the nature in the hearts and minds of the common people. And who can be the best ambassador than your students? Because they are in a system also. They are in a system, and they are in the mood to learn about it. They are receptive about it. So well, अभी तक जो भी हमारा एजुकेशन सिस्टम है उसमें थोड़ा बहुत अभी डाला है, लेकिन बहुत कम है. इट इज लाइक नथिंग. सो ज्यादा से ज्यादा कोशिश होनी चाहिए स्टूडेंट्स को सिखाने की. स्टूडेंट्स को जब भी नेचर रिजर्व्स में लाते हैं, आई हैव बीन ऑब्जर्विंग ऑल द टाइम, they come in the huge batches. They don't even hire the teachers. The management never hires even the tourists, the guides. So nobody teaches them anything. And they are howling and shouting. They understand only one value of the reserve, that is picnicking.
Okay.
And that too they don't do properly. So that is not the kind of education. That is not the kind of education to be imparted. Education should be imparted to them almost professionally.
Okay.
And practically they should be shown to the parks. And when they are taken to the parks, the management authorities, they should also not take them as a burden or like a normal tourist. No, they are very special tourists to us. They are not only tourists, they are really great ambassadors of the nature conservation movement in the country and the world. So, well, it has to be the effort has to be made 100 times more than what the efforts are being done right now.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, how do you paint the picture of Indian wildlife a decade from now? Does it look optimistic?
Well, you see, depends. Because you see, as I told you, the population certainly is at rise, and it will be at further it will be multiplying in the coming decade also, and even another decade. So, well, resources are the same. Now, with the given resources, you have to manage that population's pressure. Now, the governments have to decide this thing. Under the name of the development, if they kill the forest areas, if they kill the habitat, naturally they will kill the nature for a very long time. The jungles are not grown easily. Let me share with you frankly, plantations can be grown, but jungles are not grown.
Okay.
Jungles are grown in hundreds and hundreds of years. Where plantations you can grow in 3, 4, 5, 7 years, fast growing species. But jungle is different than the plantations. So if you want nature to be preserved for our future generations also, it is a must that you protect them jealously. Look at the budget you are getting comparing the other areas. Our national forest policy says we should have at least 33% of the geographical area of the country under the forest. Where we are? We are only at 26 to 28% or 29%. But that too in the books. Really, it is not so, because there are most degraded, heavily degraded areas, and there are areas which are only in the papers, but practically we are not there. So what I'm trying to say is the governments have to realize, our political bosses who are having the powers, they have to realize, and who will make them realize? It is I and you, the voters, who the onus is upon us actually to push them to this thing. Otherwise, this will never be their priority.
Right.
So if we want, as a citizen of the country, as a responsible citizen of the country, we, for our own sake, our children's sake, it is a must that we make it an important agenda. You see the elections, even till date, in none of the elections you will find this as an agenda. No, nowhere. Why? And on the contrary, during every election, the you see close to the reserve areas, the voters are caught on what? They are caught by the incumbents with the promises that they will allow the grazing inside, they will allow the cutting inside, and in that election period, almost it is a ruckus everywhere.
Right.
Because if you go and catch them, there will be some neta, he'll come and he'll arm twist you. That is the scene almost throughout the country.
Right.
So, well, if we take the flag in our hands and we really raise it high in the interest of the conservation, we really raise our voice loudly for this thing, that yes, this is our first demand number one, then well, something can be done. Otherwise, things are not certainly good.
Yeah, absolutely agree with you. So thank you so much, Sunayan sir, for joining us today and sharing your thoughts and your love for the nature and influencing people that we should encourage that how to save our wildlife and how to save the environment. And it's a I'm very lucky to have you today for this conversation. So thank you so much for coming today.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And let me show my another book also. Uh, can you
Birds
see
in
it?
Paradise. Yeah, Birds in Paradise.
Birds in Paradise. This is on Bharatpur. And another book is also coming. And for the Sariska book, there is a Hindi edition also on the Sariska book. And what I'm saying, why am I saying this thing? Because I want more and more people to be on the side of the conservation.
Right.
Thank you very much for this opportunity. Thank you very much, Jyotsna.
Thank you so much, sir.